Greetings and welcome, travelers of the internet, to Kirblog with myself, NNNYLOCKE, Dragon of Recording Podcasts, and Squire Kabotha.
Right? I mean, why did it take me almost a year to have this asshole on my show?
I don't know.
I don't know either, but perfect timing. This question for this topic today comes from...
This topic for this question.
Yes, thank you. We're off to a wonderful start.
We are.
This is going to be the entire next 20 to 15 minutes. Yukiola5 asked, "Hey, Kirb, since you've done work for Littlekuriboh, I'm sure you're familiar with Yu-Gi-Oh! And I was wondering what your experiences were with that show. And did you enjoy any of the spin-offs like GX, 5Ds, or Zexal? I grew up with Yu-Gi-Oh!, so I would love to hear your thoughts on that show." Hi, Martin.
Oh, Yu-Gi-Oh!
Thanks for joining me.
Oh, you're welcome.
I had been sitting on this one for a little while and thought it's vaguely Halloween related. There's spooky, creepy shit in Yu-Gi-Oh! Scattered throughout.
Pumpkin, rise from your grave.
Fucking Bones and Season 0 Yami and Bakura's deck
And they all dress in like gothic clothes, and it's weird.
That's true. Yeah. So not
Ouija boards. All that kind of stuff.
Not exclusively a Halloween topic, but it works. And I thought for this one, I could have no one else more appropriate than Martin. So thanks for coming.
That's fine.
I want you to start off.
Oh,
actually.
God.
I want to go back. I want to go way back. And I'm excited about this because I don't even know some of these things. I want to go way back to before Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged, when you were a Yu-Gi-Oh!
The ancient times.
Yes, the ancient times of the Pharaoh. I want to know about how did you get into the show, and what was kind of the time of your early fandom like well before you did Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged.
It's funny because I'm pretty sure I was extremely resistant to even watch the show initially. I was my first exposure to Yu-Gi-Oh! In any of its forms, I believe, was I saw a poster in this. I went to the cinema to see the Silent Hill movie, and it was the second or third time I'd seen that movie. But I saw a poster for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Movie, and I was like, "What is this? This is obviously just some sort of rip-off of Pokemon." And it's obviously just there to sell merchandise. And some might argue that I was right, and some might argue that I didn't give it, a proper, Some people would say I didn't give it its due, or that I judged a book by its cover. But you can understand why I would. I mean, if you look at the poster for Yu-Gi-Oh! The movie.
Especially if you're not like a big anime fan or anything either, you just see it, it's like, what the hell, what is this?
Yeah, it's very odd. It's a very odd-looking, a cast of characters, and you have to even sitting down and watching the dub of the anime, you have to be able to immediately just accept the fact that this child is transforming into, this deep-voiced character that looks exactly like him, but nobody else notices. You have to just take a lot of stuff as read when you start watching Yu-Gi-Oh! But I saw the poster and I was like, this is a load of bollocks. Why would I watch this? So I saw this poster and I was like, this Yu-Gi-Oh! Thing is a bunch of bollocks. I don't understand what is it even a thing? Because I had no concept of its popularity or anything about it except this poster. And so I went about my life, I think, for another year or two before I actually sat and watched the show. And I know I've told you before that I watched Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I caught the tail end of an episode that was airing before Pokemon. Which is another way of, subconsciously I was sort of translating this show as being just, a knockoff of Pokemon.
Yeah.
And I sat down and watched it. I was like, why are these people yelling at each other? Why are they so angry? They're playing a game. It's like I feel the same way, and I've watched enough episodes of it that I shouldn't still feel this way. But I feel the same way about Beyblade. I'm like, why are they yelling?
Oh God, yeah. We'll come back to that later for a story. But
why is it such a big deal that they have these spinny top things? But I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh! Once I watched enough episodes of it, I grew more intrigued by the deep lore of Yu-Gi-Oh! and the history and the characters and the mysteries behind it. And I started perusing fan sites And this was I'd say about 9 years ago, maybe a bit
Oh
longer than
God.
that. Uh, I started perusing Yu-Gi-Oh fan sites, and I realized the show had actually sort of just finished, and I felt bad, and I thought, you know what, it's a shame because this seems like a show I could have fun talking to people about, and so I just started reading fan fiction, and I started writing some of my own fan fiction. And this is pretty typical stuff for, when you join a fandom for the first time. You just sort of walk through the big the fandom central, and you see everything that's already been established before you even arrived, and you're like, oh gosh, this is intimidating. But it was a relatively welcoming atmosphere. I've actually been pleasantly surprised for the most part of how positive and affirmative the Yu-Gi-Oh fandom is. I mean, they're very supportive of each other.
My beginning is actually pretty similar to yours. Not in its exact like events or whatever, but my perception of it. I saw commercials for it, also alongside Pokemon on Kids WB on Saturday mornings. It was the second big anime show that they had on there, I believe. And I remember seeing the first commercials, and I had only really ever seen like Pokemon, DBZ, and maybe a couple other like anime here or there. But just as a kid with no concept of anything, I'm like, this looks like one of those types of animes that people make fun of anime for.
Yeah.
And I was immediately like, whatever. And then actually, kind of interesting story. At the time, the first time I saw it, and it was the first episode, it aired accidentally on Cartoon Network before it aired on WB, which is the usual channel that it was on. Yeah. And the reason that was the case is because Cartoon Network was in the middle of doing this thing, because they like had a good relationship with WB. They had like Teen Titans airing almost simultaneously on there for a while. They were airing one episode of a Kids WB series every Friday. They did this for like a couple months. They showed like Pokemon, Jackie Chan, X-Men Evolution, a bunch of that stuff. And they showed the first episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! One Friday, a week before it was supposed to premiere on Kids WB, because Warner Brothers was too busy, very importantly and rightfully so, airing news footage about 9/11, which had just happened.
Oh, I remember this being talked about. Yeah.
Yeah. So that tragedy hit all of New York like a ton of bricks, But as a kid, just trying to deal with it, I'm just like continuing to go about my business and watching cartoons, not even realizing that was why. But that aside, not to get too dark with that, so I saw the first episode on Cartoon Network one Friday night. I'm curious if anybody else out there saw this airing of it. Please let me know, because I'm interested.
That's funny.
But yeah, it was very surreal. But I watched the episode, and it distinctly remember Kaiba just says a word, and I'm like, is that Brock? And I'm like 11. I don't know shit about any of that yet, but I'm just like, that's Brock. But I watched it. I gave it a shot. And I'm just like, okay, that was kind of cool. I sort of liked it. It was interesting, and I stuck with it, and then continued on for a while, and kind of an equivalence of you joining the fandom online, because that was a lot later for you when kind of the internet was much bigger too. My friends and I all played the card game, and we watched the show. And when we'd have like birthday parties, or not even birthday parties, like when we'd hang out or whatever, we'd have like little tournaments, and like we'd make like our own kind of stories with ourselves or whatever that would integrate a lot of the Yu-Gi-Oh sort of mysticism shit integrated into it. It was really goofy. I think I was being like a possessed evil version of myself at one point during one of those. It was very trite, but we were like 13, so whatever. So we were big into it. We played a lot. I also remember, actually on the birthday thing, because I always used to do like cool shit for my birthday in terms of like I'd have all my friends over and we'd have like a game tournament or like something like that. But I'd make up lots of stuff. And I remember I made up some sort of board game thing where we each had our Yu-Gi-Oh decks, and whenever we cross each other on the board, we have to have a duel. And I integrated the Deckmaster thing from the virtual arc into it, because I thought, that's so cool. Like, why isn't there at least like a video game that has that? Which I don't think there is.
Pretty sure there is.
There probably is something.
Pretty sure there is, yeah.
I did play. What did I play? I played Forbidden Kingdom on the GameCube. Like, played the shit out of that game for a while.
There were some weird games.
Yeah, there were like fucking Nightmare Troubadour.
Nightmare Troubadour was actually pretty straightforward, but
Was it?
yeah, it was just it was like a lot of the games that come out now. It was just you walk around, you do all the characters, and it was one of the first games, I believe, to follow the rules outside of the World Championship Series.
Okay, and then there was the Duelist of the Roses thing, which I'm just
Right.
like, what is this game? It's like, I don't understand this. I'm curious now, kind of moving on to the next part of it. How did you kind of, because I guess to start off for me, like when I got like really deep into the show, and it was one of those cases where it's like, whoa, wait, the show is censored on American television, and it's like uncut and cool and badass and not for kids or whatever, and not the company, like literally for kids. So I was curious about that. So I bought like way overly expensive and unbeknownst to me bootleg box sets of the show in droves and watched just tons of episodes and kind of got past where the episodes were airing in English, ironically, right when the virtual arc was happening with Noah, kind of poetic there. But how did you kind of get interested in like the quote unquote real show, the Japanese version of the series?
It's funny, like I'm going back to what you were saying before about people's perceptions of the show. I'm thinking about it. The funny thing is that all the promotional material makes the show seem a lot cooler and more exciting than it really is. I know this isn't exclusive to the Japanese version or anything, to change the subject slightly, but, like in the opening to the show, it's like Yami and Kaiba riding on dragons, and, there's like monsters like doing battle, and it's like, that's admittedly a significant portion of the show, but it isn't anything like what you're presenting to me right now. It's just it's two people standing on opposite sides of a room and yelling at each other.
Yelling a lot, yeah.
But it's a testament to, I think, the power of the story and its characters, and that people stick with it through a lot of the stuff that might seem more tedious, or even that people see it as enjoyable for both the card game aspect and the characters, because I honestly believe that if it were just a merchandising play, wouldn't have struck a chord with so many people.
I think now, to kind of quickly address the bits about GX and 5Ds and Zexal, it's like, I think that now it is a bit more about that. I mean, I know the anime staff, they try to tell some interesting stories, and they have a couple, like, well-written characters kind of scattered throughout some of the different shows and whatnot, but it's about getting kids to buy the car. It's not part of Takahashi. Was that the author?
Kazuki Takahashi, yes.
Kazuki Takahashi. I mean, clearly, like, even with them being like, make it about the card game, make it about the card game, so we can sell lots of shit. Like, even with that in mind, it's like he still had a vision for that story, and it was cool for what it was. So I don't know, but either way.
But I was introduced to the Japanese stuff just because, I mean, I think a lot of us had that phase where, we just wanted to watch the original. We didn't want to watch any kind of any changes in any of our, adaptations. We just wanted something that was as pure and raw as the director intended it. I'm sure I went through a period where I did nothing but collect widescreen VHS tapes, and my parents were always like, "Why are we buying this in widescreen? We don't have a widescreen TV." And I was just going through a period where I was like, I want to watch the subtitle version because it will automatically be better. And while that is true to an extent for some things, for Yu-Gi-Oh, I mean, I think there's a charm to the dub, and the Japanese version is what it is. But I hate saying I grew up with the characters, but I essentially did grow with those characters in the dubbed version, and I've never really gone out of my way to hold the Japanese version above the English version or anything, but I just was I collected the DVDs. I bought both bootlegs and official versions from Japan, and I mean it was the same. I honestly don't think there was anything remarkable about how I stumbled upon the Japanese version, although I do like the manga a lot.
Yeah, Sam, I actually have everything except for the final, like the Egyptian arc, just because I can't find certain volumes of it. But I have all of the original manga series collected, which I really, really enjoyed reading that as well, for sure. And and also kind of to add on to your point about the show for what it is, regardless of the language. I still, to this day, I consider Yugi / Yami, like the two of them collectively as one being, I consider them to be a really, really interesting character, and one of my favorite like main characters in anything. In general, I've always really liked dual personality kind of characters, but I don't know. I felt like them as a single entity and them also as two separate entities made for just a really interesting story, regardless of like any of the card game stuff or any of that. Just that in general as a storytelling thing was really cool.
It's something that's fun for the viewer because they get to play around with the duality of it. Like that whole first season where, first of all, he's learning that this is happening to him, and second of all, he's trying to control it, and the other being is struggling to control himself and find out who he is, and it's got a lot of interesting stuff as a writer that you can play around with, and the viewer gets a lot out of it. Like they have which part of Yugi's personality does Taya find more attractive, and which of these characters is going to ultimately be the hero, and which and what's going to happen if they eventually have to split up. Essentially, I mean, it's got all kinds of questions, like right from the get-go that leave you, like, first of all, feeling that it's a really cool character, and second of all, wanting to know where they're going to go with it.
And where they went with it, I mean, I guess it's no big spoiler what happens, but I mean, what Takahashi did ultimately, that was also very well executed in the show, as far as I'm concerned, was great. I think it was the perfect way to end that arc with both characters collectively and separately.
Yeah, I mean, looking back on it, there are very few shows, in my opinion, like Yu-Gi-Oh! That run for as long as they do, and run they run as long as they do, and they run as consistently as they do, and then actually have a very satisfying ending. I was very impressed with the way it all came full circle, and that it wasn't just let's just keep him playing the card game and have him just go to different regions, and
yeah,
they could have easily done that, but
which I mean he does, but
he does,
or he could, but rather just like as far as his relationship with Atem goes, I think that the end of that arc was very well done, and then the opening it up for now it's the beginning of my story by myself, I think was really and also, of course, I think we can both agree Dan Green's performance
absolutely
was, for the whole thing, and he, as we've both had the pleasure of meeting him at this point, he really genuinely cares a lot about that character and the source material, which I think is fantastic. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess while we're kind of winding things down, I wanted to tell a really quick funny story. Many years ago, and Martin, if you want to jump in with details, please feel free. Martin came to visit New York when the Bonds Beyond Time movie. I feel we might have told the story on a panel, but I can't remember. It's been years. Martin came to visit New York, and he stayed at my apartment there for a few days, and we went to go see the movie at the premiere, and it was a lot of fun. We hung out with Noah King and One Kids and a few other folks, and I had, while he was there, and this was something fun for us to just enjoy, like, as Yu-Gi-Oh fans, because we were kind of just in that mindset for seeing that movie, and it was fun.
Oh, yeah.
I brought with me my very rare, very difficult to find these days, copies of the short-lived, uncut redub that 4Kids tried producing of the first season of Yu-Gi-Oh! And we marathoned all 9 of the all whopping 9 of the episodes that they got through, and I mean, obviously that went on to be the inspiration for the April Fool's.
World's finest why.
But did you have anything funny remembering from that at all that you enjoyed?
No, I mean, it was a good time. I remember, being very interested. I mean, it was just a shame that. It was a shame that they did it, first of all, I think, way too soon. I think, because I mean, I think it was Wayne Grayson who said in an interview or something, or you asked him, they were like, it sounded like you guys didn't give a shit. And he was basically like, yeah, because we'd already done it. Like, yeah. But I feel like maybe if they'd given it like 5-10 years, something really great could have been mined from that. And it still could happen. But
maybe we'll get like a remade, like a Sailor Moon Crystal equivalent of the original Yu-Gi-Oh series, like with the same story, but like with the new cards, so they can still sell the product. I would be okay with that.
I'd be down. Maybe. I'd be down. I mean, I like what they're doing with the new show Arc 5. I think that's a good show, but I mean, that's Yu-Gi-Oh.
It's Yu-Gi-Oh. And on that note, I guess we're gonna close things out. But real quick before I do the end tag, it's team4star.com/Littlekuriboh.
Correct. Yes. Team4star.com or ygotas.com. That also.
Oh, okay. Cool. Oh, you have the same thing registered for that?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Go check that out. All the episodes and all the everything. You got some new stuff. Is it okay for me to say that I recently recorded something for the new episode coming out?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I just realized I was like, you did.
I make a little quick return as
I want to film. I want to
Noah.
film a live action thing with you as well at some point. So we need to get together and do that.
Oh yeah, totally. We can do. Maybe if you want to do it this weekend, we can.
Oh, I
Behind the
can't do
scenes.
it this weekend. I've got. I'm very busy this weekend, unfortunately.
But behind the scenes of how we do
Sorry.
this shit. Good. Congratulations. Anyway, in the comments below, leave us your fun memories.
Tell us
and
if you're
fond
busy this
memories.
weekend.
Yes, and also tell us your plans for the weekend, and also if you liked Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff, give us some fond memories of the show, and also maybe your favorite Yu-Gi-Oh Abridged episode or something.
Or just tell us your favorite Yu-Gi-Oh card.
Yes, that, or character, or anything, or what's your favorite color? My favorite color is orange. Bye. Say bye, Martin.
Bye, Martin.